Okay, let's jump right into a deep dive about something uh, really fundamental for anyone in the coding world, right? Whether you're just starting or, you're pretty experienced, we're talking about explaining technical stuff clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a skill that comes up everywhere.
It really does. I mean, think about explaining something tricky to a teammate or prepping for an interview. Even just making sure you understand something better yourself, being able to break down complex ideas simply, that's like a superpower.
Totally agree. And the material we looked at gives some really practical tips on how to actually do that effectively. It's all about bridging that gap between knowing something in your head and, well, communicating it so someone else gets it.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The material suggests a clear starting point,
Right.
right? What's the first step?
It really emphasizes starting with the what, just a concise, high-level definition, and crucially, in your own words.
In your own words, yeah. Like if you take closures in JavaScript,
Yeah.
what would that would sound like?
Well, something simple like, okay, so a closure is basically when an inner function can remember and access variables from its outer function.
Hmm.
Even after that outer function has already finished running, you just want that clear, crisp summary up front.
Got it. Define it first. And then I remember the material talking about analogies, making it stick.
Exactly. Analogies are super helpful here. The
Yeah.
sources mention one for closures that I thought was pretty neat, thinking of the inner function carrying a kind of backpack.
A backpack, okay.
Yeah, and inside that backpack are the variables from where it was created, its environment. It carries them around, even if it runs somewhere else entirely. It helps connect the abstract idea to something, familiar.
That makes sense. A little mental picture. So you've got the, what, maybe an analogy. What's
Well,
next?
then you show the how. This is where code examples come in. The sources were really clear. Use simple, focused examples.
Right, nothing too complicated.
Definitely not. For the closure, you'd show that classic example. An outer function, maybe with a count variable, returning an inner function that uses that count.
And then walk through it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
step by step. Like, okay, we call the outer function counter. It sets up count to 0 and returns the inner function. Now we call that inner function, let's call it increment, once.
And it logs 1 because it remembers count.
Precisely. Call it again, it logs 2. Seeing the code run, seeing the state change that makes it concrete, it avoids just being theoretical.
Okay, this next part felt really key in the material, the why. Why does this concept even exist? What problem is it actually solving?
Yes. This is crucial for deeper understanding. For closures, the why is often about things like data privacy, keeping some variables contained, or creating function factories, functions that generate other functions with specific configurations.
And for something like promises, the material mentioned those too.
Right. For promises, the big why is tackling asynchronous code challenges. Specifically, escaping what people call callback hell, those messy, nested callbacks. Promises make async operations much cleaner, more manageable.
So connecting the concept to the actual problems programmers face day to day.
Exactly. And related to that is the context or usage. Where do you actually see this stuff? Closures are like everywhere in JavaScript patterns. Promises are the standard now for handling things like API calls or timers. Knowing the where and why makes it stick.
It makes it relevant, yeah. And the source is also stressed organizing all this logically, right, and checking in.
Absolutely. Structure is key. Start with what, then how, then why in context. But it's not a lecture. You need to check for understanding, ask questions, watch for cues. Is the person you're explaining to actually following along? It needs to be interactive.
Right, not just an information dump.
It's a dialogue, really.
So thinking bigger picture,
Mhm.
mastering this skill, using this kind of framework, it's not just for interviews, is it?
Not at all. It's about becoming a more effective programmer overall, a better collaborator, someone who can truly grasp complex ideas and, importantly, help others grasp them too. It's part of that journey towards becoming, a real expert.
So the takeaway for you listening is that knowing the code itself is vital, of course, but being able to clearly explain the concepts behind it, the what, how, why, and context, that's just as important for your growth as a developer.
And that brings us to something interesting for you to think about. How does the act of preparing to explain a complex idea, just thinking through the what, how, why, how does that process itself change or deepen your own understanding, even before you say a single word to someone else?